Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. We are doing another YouTube exclusive. However, we are not discussing the second season of X Men. Instead, we are discussing the second season of Batman Caped Crusader. We are going to talk about the first two episodes, that being Brute Force and Rocket's Red Glare. We will be back over the course of the next 4 weeks to discuss the other 8 episodes. And Brian, coming into this season, one of the things that is always noteworthy, I think, when we're talking about a Batman animated series, is that they generally mirror what the live action is doing. So, Batman 2022, I can't believe it came out that long ago at this point. Very much focusing on the idea of everybody's kind of mob affiliated. Gotham is, trying to clean up the crime as they always are. But this is the least fantastical version of the Batman rogues gallery, so to speak, as everybody has some sort of mob affiliation. At the end of season one, Rupert Thorne was going to be going on trial, and we got a Joker tease. And in this first episode, Brute Force, we do see what happens, and some of that gets resolved to. We get the Rupert Thorne element very much resolved by the end of the episode, in perhaps an expected way, I would say. And we also get to see just how corrupt everything still is. And, you're in a situation where, Batman is not talking with the commissioner, but, Barbara's sick and tired of being the middle person. So she's like, you two need to just talk and figure this shit out because things are fucked up. And that's kind of where we're at the beginning of season 2. Brian, what did you think of this first episode, Brute Force?
Miami Vice vibes, but in a good way, because it's like this episode where Stanley Tucci was the guest star, and he plays this mob boss, I think Frank something, and the whole episode he's on trial, and the end of the episode, what happens? Mistrial because of the shit that he was interfering with. Right? Same thing here with the mob is trying to interfere with the evidence in order to not overturn, but to get a mistrial, and that's essentially what happens in this episode. And it's frustrating for Batman, but it kind of tests his morals, right? Because, like, okay, now Thorne's on the street at the end of this episode, out clean, but what happens? Someone else gets him. So is it justice? Is Batman like happy with this? I don't know. If I were Batman, I'd be happy with it, but I guess his moral code won't allow him
I mean,
to get away with this.
he's literally ramming somebody into a wall, and I'm like, are we sure he's not trying to kill him?
Well,
Like,
okay. Here's the other thing too. Batman's getting ultra violent in this episode too.
yeah, this
Before we
this
get
episode and this
before
season is
that, before the, I guess that was Solomon Grundy or a version of him. Before he runs him over with the car, you got to go back to the middle of the episode where he's like choking Thorne out with a towel,
yeah.
right? And I'm just like, whoa, dude, like where we go with this? Because he's testing the waters right now. And I don't know if it's just the animators want like pushing the envelope because we did get headshots in this
There is
episode.
a new showrunner for this season, so I think that they are definitely pushing the envelope a little bit, and I think that's a good thing. I think that
Headshots. I mean, headshots in an Batman the Animated Series is like, wow. You know what I'm saying? You would never see that as a
I
kid,
mean,
ever.
the thing to me is like, there's no way. I can't imagine a lot of kids are watching this. Perhaps, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't necessarily mind this going in a TV 14 like direction. I think that Batman is the most interpreted character of all time, and I think that you can do many different versions. And this one is just it's very bleak. Like, it's very much in line with the Robert Pattinson version of the character, and I think that's fine. I don't think that necessarily Batman. I think it's much more elastic than almost any of the other. Like, I think with when you're talking about Marvel, I think you're very limited in the kinds of, at least in terms of how far you can go. But with Batman, we've seen things as wacky as the 1966 version, but we've also seen like Frank Miller take him to a very dark place, and I think it's just up to your interpretation. And I think that we've been very fortunate to have, the Harley Quinn version of Batman, who's kind of a jackass and kind of incompetent, but then you get this very like detective like version, and like he's kind of pushing the limits in this first episode, in terms of like trying to, clean up the city. But then in the second episode, like, he's trying to convince the villain to not do what she's doing. And I think that again, you're kind of exploring a different facet. We'll get into more of that later, but I do want to focus just on this first episode for a few minutes because I think it's really important to just show how bad things are. Like even though Bullock is a police is an armed unit, he's back in uniform, Brian. So that's definitely a change from season one, and he is not necessarily allowed to go into specific rooms because he's not a detective. So there are some signs of hope, but I mean the fact that Thorne gets murdered, but justice was not served.
Very, very kind of like gray area. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't trust anyone in the Force, and that's why I think Batman's not talking to Gordon because he fears Gordon's going to say something to whoever this rat is, right? And that's how it's kind of build up the tension between Gordon and Batman and not trusting each other because of this, like whoever the rat is. And there's probably more than one rat, obviously. Like, there's so many people on the payroll, right? And we even got that other detective that was Bullock's partner who has been elevated to detective status, and he can wear a suit now, and they make mention of that, like he's wearing a suit. You're not allowed in the room, right? They're kind of building up that tension. Is Bullock going to do like a babyface turn to turn on his friend? That's what I'm kind of feeling. And then kind of do something good for Batman, and Batman's gonna be like, "Whoa, like I didn't expect that from you," kind of thing. I think that's what they're building towards. Because I forget the name of that detective that got promoted, but like obviously he's telling people something, right? He's telling Thorne's people something. He's probably gonna end up telling the Riddler, which is not revealed yet, but Edward Nigma. That's they're kind of just calling him
Right.
that right now.
And I guess the one of the things that I question is why is he the Riddler when he's not really doing anything with riddles?
That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of worried about that. Like, are they going so away from that? Because, like, that's why, you know what I mean? Like, he could have just been any other gangster. They just made him purple and
Right.
green, and now they're leaning into the Riddler stuff. But there's no, like, he's not even, like, asking questions and riddles.
He's
And, you know
really
what I mean? Like,
not
so it's kind
like
of weird where they're
like
going with that.
clearly the Joker, like I think we are going to get as based on everything I've seen, like we're going to get a Joker that's very much not very serious and very again grounded in sort of this more mob mentality. But I think that you're still seeing like he's still working with chemicals because that's how Thorne dies is because he's laughing too much, and we see more Joker's teases in episode two. So clearly he's doing some of the same things, even if I don't think the character is going to be as wacky.
Right, and that's kind of what I was expecting, but they're definitely doing that darker kind of build up to it. Let's see if they start teasing the riddle stuff, because that's like, why even do him as the Riddler if he's not going to do his riddles? So you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so like you got the
Like
purple and the green, which I
this
love.
isn't a situation with like the penguin. You can make the penguin kind of looks like a penguin, so you can kind of
Yeah,
see it there.
so it's
Two
weird because
Face,
like you could have interchanged this. Like Two Face could have been in this role and still sounded the same, right? Like that's where
right?
it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like they got to make that distinction with these characters because
I
we
agree.
expect certain things out of the Riddler. So we'll expect. Oh, well, maybe because there's still episodes to come, and he's obviously in the teaser at the end for
Right,
the whole
and
season. He's built up more,
neither of us have watched ahead at this point, so we don't necessarily know
which I'm cool with. I'm
what's
slow burning
which
this along with you. So
what's happening. So I think when it comes to episode one, I think we've been critical of the Riddler stuff, but I think for the first episode, I think this was really strong. I think this really just set up the whole world well. Again, it feels like a continuation of season one, but in reading that there is a new showrunner for season two, I can definitely see those elements as well because I think they're definitely pushing the envelope. They're definitely raising the stakes, but not I think raising the stakes. I think in superhero jargon can kind of be almost a negative thing at this point. But I think they're raising the stakes in a way that the threat is still just about Gotham. And it's not like you're going to end up with a big blue beam in the sky. At least I hope so. At least I hope not. But like you're definitely seeing like the corruption level, and you're seeing just how high it's going and the danger not only to the commissioner but to Batman and to building up some of the other characters as well. I think that's the thing that I appreciate about this show more than anything is that they are willing to give Montoya and Barbara Gordon agency, whereas I think in a lot of previous interpretations, like Batman, like it's Batman, maybe Robin and the Commissioner, and like in terms of developing characters, that's about it.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe because we just watched a bunch of Miami Vice stuff, but I'm definitely getting the Miami Vice darker tones from this show. You know what I mean? Because like the more groundedness, the more mob stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was watching in the Miami Vice episodes, and it's very similar, obviously. So I'm kind of liking that vibe right now, despite it being the 40s. But I still like this idea of like this dark cop drama more so than a fantasy. Um, but let's talk about
Well,
really quick.
you also do have a new character. You have Hattie's Tea, and she is basically I don't know who the modern equivalent would be, but I see her as like this the you know there's a lot of sycophants kind of like promoting corruption in the Trump administration, and I see her as that equivalent in this show as well. Like she's always going to be about promoting cops and the bad people as opposed to actually this fake populism. I think that's what she's about. And again, you see that everywhere today, and I think it's a really interesting idea. I don't know if they've necessarily based her on any specific person. Like we know that they're like these gossip hounds from the 40s through, even the 2000s with people, whether it was Entertainment Tonight or whether it was Rona Barrett. Like there are people who've kind of fulfilled this role of gossiping, but she's taking it to the next level by not only reporting on celebrities, but like turning gossip into politics as well. And again, that's something that we see very much today.
Yeah, I wanted to say like a Sally Jesse Raphael, but that's more of like a talk show host. Even
I
though she
mean,
is doing a
Sally Jesse
talk show,
Raphael wasn't really a gossipy. Like she was a
you
little
know what I mean. But it's
gossipy,
like
but
talk
like
show host, but more like a single camera, single person setup
like
than
to me, I see.
studio audience.
I would say like a Laura Ingraham or Nancy Grace. Like I'm
Right,
thinking
no
more.
studio audience, just her talking, and yeah, I can
I
kind
mean,
of see it.
it's yeah.
Like if she was like in the WrestleMania days, she'd be one of those WrestleMania type celebrities in the early days, right?
I
You
mean,
know what I'm
Rhoda Barrett
saying?
did appear at
That's what
WrestleMania
I'm saying.
6.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's that kind of like celebrity gossip person that Vince McMahon's like, oh, we got to get her for the show. You know, like you know what I mean? Like that's the
Very
type
hard
of
at
vibe.
WrestleMania 3. Yeah, I mean, it's funny
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
both of them were there.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like that's the perfect kind of like celebrity, exposure. And I guess that's kind of like what they're doing here in this kind of like social
it's really
commentary
well
way.
done. Like I have to say, it
Yeah.
was a great
And
idea
she's
to
the Mad
start.
Hatter of this universe, and luckily, I guess she's not going to be pushed as a villain, but she's going to be pushed as like this J. Jonah Jameson type character, which I find much more refreshing because we don't need Batman beating up a Mad Hatter woman,
We don't,
right?
right?
So
But
let's
like,
just make her like a
so you
gossip
mentioned the
character.
J. Jonah Jameson piece, and I can certainly see that. But just to be clear, like she does go after Batman, but she's not obsessed with Batman. She is more about just like promoting Thorn and basically keeping the status quo in the city. That's more
Right.
important to her than just being obsessed with Batman. So I want to draw the
Yeah.
distinction between those two characters. Although,
Yeah.
again, I do think it is a good comparison.
Yeah. And the Solomon Grundy thing I wanted to point out. I got to assume that was like their version of Solomon Grundy because it looked the part. I mean, he wasn't raised from the dead, but he was injected. I don't know if that was like a Bane type thing, but it definitely felt more of the Solomon Grundy. I'm talking about the henchman that was working with the Riddler. He injects him behind his back, and that's where Batman runs the dude over. Not run him over, but he hits him into the wall like multiple times.
He's
So
got to stop him. Yeah.
I guess so, but it's like I just saw Spider-Man spoilers. So when there's the body hopping going on, and Spider-Man beats up a person, that he's like feels so bad afterward for beating him up because it was a possession thing. So I kind of got that vibe, like, oh shit, he might have gone too far, but he did have to stop him. It's like the Hulk, right? You know what I mean? It's like, did I go too far? Is the guy okay? But yeah, that was the whole like fight at the end. It was really well done. So I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10, almost an 8 based on the action at the end. But there was some weird stuff with the Riddler, but they're building up to that. But I love the whole vibe of this like
Yeah, I'm at
street
about an
drama
8
stuff.
out of 10. I think this was a great, just kind of positioning everything. And I really like the way the Thorn was throughout. I think it was well done. It's kind of sad that he's not going to be in more episodes because the way that he interacted with Batman in this episode, the way that he interacted with his son before he dies, I mean, presumably dead. He's not. We don't know that he's dead at the end of episode 1 or 2, but
Right.
presumably he's going to laugh himself to death like everybody does when it comes
Yeah.
to
And
hanging out with the
I do have to
Joker.
point out that like Batman walked in on him butt ass naked, and like he had no hesitation about
It's a great
he
idea.
like not needing to cover up, and he just stared Batman in the face like butt ass naked. So I was like, okay, like standing up to Batman like that is it takes some balls, especially naked. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
that was pretty cool.
that says more about his character than anything that he could say, right? Like
Right,
he
and
is
there's no, I
naked.
don't even think we've had a scene like that in any of the movies. So I think this is something they need to steal for the Batman sequel, like someone walking up to Batman naked and just not taking a shit. Like that's some good like confrontational stuff. So
Well,
that's
I
what I
think
really like.
that I think it's good that there are people in this universe who should be scared of Batman, and I also think it's good that if you want to differentiate the villains, having some of them not be scared of Batman is a good distinction to make. And again, I think the Thorn stuff in this episode was really well done, and that's probably why I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. So episode 2 is a very different. Not a lot of mob connections, but there's a company that's being robbed of their blueprints, and Batman is very much in detective mode and quickly identifies that a former employee, Dr. Simmons, is the one that is behind it. She is in the persona of the Rocket, who is based off of the Rocketeer. Brian thought that it might have been the actual Rocketeer. Sadly, it's not. But we do get the Rocket battling Batman in this episode, and Batman is trying to convince her to not do what she was going to do. But she kind of does it anyway, and basically to shut this company down and not turn them into a warmongering evil corporation, which again has a lot of relevancy to what is going on today. But yeah, I don't know that this was as strong of an episode as the first one, but there was a lot of good stuff. It was very much a come down from the first episode. But I do want to point out that the Rocket was played by Wunmi Mosaku, who has been in a number. She was in Deadpool 3. She's been in a lot of other projects, and they don't really aggressively go after a lot of famous names, but I definitely recognized her voice.
I wasn't able to recognize it, but I think once you said that out loud, I was like, oh yeah, I think I can pick that up now. Yeah, I thought it was the Rocketeer. Immediately, I looked it up and look, it's the character based off the Rocketeer that was like I guess introduced in the '90s, but it's based on like a retro vibe kind of character from the '40s that was introduced in the '90s. Um, yeah, I really like this episode a lot because it's more of like a revenge story. It's more centered on her. Is it Roxy Rocket? That's the official name,
I
or the
guess
I guess like the superhero name or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's very much a revenge plot because they blow her up her house because she's like the moral like person of the corporation, and then the corporation turns on her, blows up her house, says it was an accident, steals her stuff, and then she's like, "That's my technology. I can't let it go and take over the world," kind of thing, right? So immediately when she says that, I get these like Godzilla vibes from the original one. And by that I mean Dr. Serizawa's creation of the Oxygen Destroyer, right? Because they use it on Godzilla at the end of the movie, but he's like, we have to destroy all evidence and any of my notes, all that stuff has to be burned because someone's going to take my notes and my technology and develop it into even worse of a weapon, right? So that's the kind of vibe I get here because at the end of this episode, she kind of destroys her work at the end of this episode, and I was like, okay, they got the whole like scientist vibes down where you create something so out of your power and out of your zone that like you have to destroy it because someone's going to take over and turn it into something evil, right? And that's essentially what this was. And the whole corrupt corporation team was like so evil, mustache twirling villain vibes going on. So I was digging it, man. As cheesy as it feels, this episode, I love the visuals and especially that
it is
explosion at
really
the end.
funny you say that because I think that one of the things that the Trump administration has ruined the idea that you can't have a mustache twirling villain because it's too exaggerated. Because look at what our lives are right now. So and I feel the same way about horror movies when people act really stupid. I think I was always the person who'd be like, no way somebody could be that stupid. But after COVID, I'm like, you know what? People are kind of that stupid. So the way that I watch things, what I'm telling you is the way I watch things has fundamentally been broken by society, and we should all be ashamed of ourselves.
Also, Jaws 2. Jaws 2 is a very post-COVID movie that will shake your world. Um, because the mayor was reelected. The mayor
He
was
was. I mean,
reelected.
that was the original thing that I remember people posting a ton about that a few years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I've been on this rant since then, and it's kind of I know we're kind of getting off topic, but it's made me this rejuvenating viewing of Jaws 2 now.
I
Every time
mean,
someone watches it,
I think the point is that whenever you think, oh, they're going too far, this is a Bond villain, this isn't real, like there is no bottom. Like I think that's the
there's
truth of
no
the
bottom
matter.
at all. Like, yeah, because
And I think
the
with this
villain in this,
episode, like I think it's fine that they're as evil as they are. Like I don't even like that didn't even register for me. Maybe it would have registered differently in a different world, but like it actually didn't seem cartoonish at all.
the moment I realized it was like pushing that envelope was when he goes, "This isn't personal, it's business," right? That's what he says, and I'm like, "Oh, they went for that level," and then they kind of exposed later on at the end of the episode that I guess they were tried for treason, meaning that they were what negotiating with foreign countries about this technology. So
And again,
that's wow.
how is that any different than
I know,
some of the
I
stuff you see
know.
going on right now? I
Oh
mean,
man,
look at all these companies and corporations that are taking blood money from Saudi Arabia. Like that
I
is
know.
all I need to say.
Yeah,
That's all I need to say.
yeah, it's very like this show's like in the 40s, but it's very relevant now or relevant now in terms of like
I mean,
the
I don't
social
even know if it's the
commentary.
four. I mean, there is TV, so I don't necessarily even know if it's the 40s, but it's
I
definitely
mean,
an
if you look
alternate
at that
universe.
the Mad Hatter TV when all these people are watching, it's very much the tube style from that era. I don't even think it's in color, right? Like I don't know, I kind of misremember that, but it's very much in that 40s 50s era of TV that it feels
Yeah,
like. So that's what I'm basing it on.
I think they're more. I think they might be going for more of a timeless feel, perhaps. But I think the point is that this is not like Batman Beyond, where Batman Beyond was very clearly positioned to be in the future. This is very much kind of a time capsule. And again, the technologies are sometimes conflicting, but I think that again, the main point is that they are trying to kind of get this idea across that it is a noirish time. So it's fascinating to me that Amazon Prime released Spider-Man Noir just a couple months ago, and then they're releasing this version of Batman, which also is very noirish. So just a really interesting pattern that has developed, and
Yeah, I think they're just aiming for that adult comic audience. You know what I'm saying? Like an old, I mean, when you
I
cast Nick
do think that
Cage,
that is true.
you're
This
aiming
is
for that older
not.
audience. So,
They're definitely doing that. This is not a situation. This is not. I mean, this is. I don't know what the rating is, but it feels like, especially the first episode,
yeah. Because,
it
like,
could have
you know
been
how
PG
there's like those
13.
two types of Batman fans. Like, they love there's the one type that loves the fantasy stuff, right? And there's the one kind that loves the grounded detective stuff. So I think they're aiming for that
I
grounded
mean, I think
detective
both of them
audience.
can work. I mean, I think that's been again. That's been
Right. But I think they're more
the
focusing on
whole idea.
the older audience that loves that detective stuff from that earlier Batman version more so than like, the modern era where it's
Again,
like kind
I
of like
think that this
comic.
is in line with what the live action version, the Matt Reeves version, was trying to be. And
Right.
again, Matt
I
Reeves
see that
is
too.
an
Yeah.
executive producer along with J.J.
That
Abrams
was
and
the other
Bruce
thing I
Timm.
noticed. There's a lot of executive producers on this, and I don't know if that's too many executive producers in the cookie jar or whatever,
I
but man, people are getting paychecks for
is
just sitting
there is
at
no
home on
way that
this.
J.J. Abrams is sitting in a meeting actually proposing creative.
Like, I'm sure
I
he
can
gets
make
a
a lot
check
of
and he goes like,
jokes.
"Wait, I'm attached to the Batman show." You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
I mean, I'm sure
wow.
his company is putting up some of the cost. I mean, I'm sure that's what it is. But I
Yeah,
am imagining that Bruce Timm and his crew of people are much more kind of in the weeds with this.
for sure. I also wanted to point out the animation in this episode is really, really good. I love the design of the rocket
Really
ship.
strong animation,
And
absolutely.
the ship itself, I don't know. It looked like a TIE fighter or something like that from Star Wars. And there's a
It was
shot where
really
they're on the train, and then the camera moves to the window, and you see it like moving along the train. And if you kind of look at it perspective wise, it's like, wow, that means that ship is like moving at like the same speed as the train, right? So if you do the math,
yeah.
it's like, wow, like that's some cool visuals. Like if you see that in like a Star Wars movie, it would look kind of spectacular, even though it's like a train shot through a window, but like still like the scale of it was really good. And then the explosion at the end I thought was really well done. Obviously they do the kind of editing where you don't see her explode. So it's like, is she dead or not? Like she's probably alive, is my guess. But I do like the visual of her scarring, which I thought was like very like well done to get that like emotion out of you, the empathy out of you, because she gets really fucked up scarring wise after
Yeah.
the explosion, and then it's like no wonder she's like gone on this thing about revenge, and then has the Rocketeer like the mask on, and then the way they animate her, it seems like it's almost as if like it's a man. The way that she's got like the strength when she beats people up and stuff, or shoots people, I should say, but it's very kind of like, you know what I mean, like red herring. It's, like, oh my god, it's a woman, and then you find out that it's a revenge plot, you know what I'm saying? Because like the way that they animated her at first, it seemed like a bulky dude, and that's just the way that I guess the costume is, right? But then when you reveal
Right.
it, it's like she's a much smaller person inside, but she's like, she can
I think
handle
it's.
herself.
I mean, I think that there's going to be. I mean, given again with Montoya and Barbara, I think are written as queer women, women of color. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Batman is woke bullshit that's out there. But I mean, I think this has been a really strong first two episodes. I'm really into the season again. I liked the first season. I think that it didn't always like. I think there were certain episodes that were stronger. I think that when you're doing 10 episodes, you can't. It's just really hard to tell a story in 10 episodes. But man alive, I'm really excited to get into the other 8 episodes, which we will be doing over the course of the next 4 weeks, 2 episodes per week. It's going to be really exciting. Brian, any final thoughts?
I probably mentioned this the first time we reviewed the first season, but like, man, Alfred Pennyworth is in this like Paul Bear mode right now. Like the way they animated him, like, dude, like, give the guy some like muscles, man. He's a former. Well, I don't know in this version.
The thing that I like about this show that I don't think a lot of shows in general, not just animated, but they're not willing to present different body types. And this show is much more willing to present different body types,
That's for
not
sure.
just
I
with
noticed that
Alfred.
too. Like everyone, the
I think that's a huge
cops, Montoya, like everyone's got curves. Like not
I
everyone,
think
but you know what I'm saying.
that's a huge positive. I think
Hey,
that I
I
will
think it's a huge
never.
positive too. But like, I think Alfred should be like kind of jacked.
It
I don't
depends
know.
what it depends on what
But
version
then
of
it's
Alfred
what
you're
version
talking
of it
about.
is. But like, man, I'm so not used to seeing so like unlike I don't know how to say unathletic, but you know what I mean. Like the Alfred I know is like ready to go at any moment because of his past training.
I
So
mean, we
we'll see.
don't know that at this version of Alfred. Like, I don't want to play in that sandbox necessarily. Who knows? The point
I
is,
get
the
you. It's
show's
just
good.
very like Paul Bear, Paul Heyman esque right now with his visuals. So that's
Yeah,
that's my. I don't know if it's a complaint, but I'm like, man, they're really leaning into that Paul Bear look.
I can see that. All right. So next week we are going to be discussing Deep Cover and The Devil's Due episodes 3 and 4. And we do know we're going to be getting Harley Quinn will be back. We know the Joker is going to be playing a factor, as well as the Riddler. So a lot to get to. Don't forget to listen to our ongoing series about the Scott brothers. We are going to be talking about Thelma and Louise, plus a whole lot more with Tony Scott and Ridley Scott. So make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Click the bell icon for notifications. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast version on Apple and Spotify to get our weekly episodes. Again, August is the Scots month, so definitely check that out. For Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again soon.